guys, this is Grandmaster Timur. Today we're going to be covering the modern lines, the recently popular lines, and the classical lines of the Dragon variation. We're going to emphasize a couple of games that have been played recently and learning best ways for black to get the initiative. So we got the open Sicilian, knight goes to f3, d6, not g6, because this leads towards the accelerated dragon after d4, c takes d. Well, number one, there's some sidelines. Okay, there's the queen d4. Okay, it's generally the game is fine for black. Black has enough counterplay, attacking the queen right here with a knight. So after queen d4, here's some possible consequence right here. Knight f6. Then let's say a white pushes e5 here. Well, then knight goes to c6. So here several responses. Now if white decides to play queen d1, you know, just basically expecting to go after the knight once it defines the square. Even though here black has some cool options. Let's say knight g4, then bishop goes to f4 defending the pawn, and now like queen b6, you know. I haven't run this position with the engine, but it looks very, very attractive for black. Seems like black may be able to win this pawn on e5. But okay, so there's a little trick that you guys, I'm pretty sure, are aware of. Knight e5, knight captures, and here we go. We got this check right here. So like lines along queen d4 are kind of common on a sort of intermediate advanced type level. So this is something you guys got to deal with in this accelerated dragon situations. So it's a bit different. However, after knight d4, this leads towards situations where white could play c4, for example. Then you go into Marozzi, or knight c3, and then bishop e3. Well, this looks very much like the lines we've covered before. Well, that's correct. Knight f6. The only difference is that black hasn't played d6 yet, hasn't committed this pawn right here. So that's the difference is such that black can play d5 in one run in certain situations. So white got to be a little careful. So white plays bishop c4, castle, bishop b3, and after d6, white would have our Yugoslav Attack variation set up here. So I'm covering this, guys, for you guys, so that you can learn and gain more clarity in case you're wondering what's the difference between accelerated dragon that is described here. Well, the difference is that black hasn't committed to d5. There's certain options that we've discussed that are possible for white. For example, Marozzi right here. So this is another different position. So there's some major differences. So those are quite different openings. But at the same time, let's say a white plays knight b3 in this situation, well, knight f6, then it actually leads towards the lines that we're just about to cover. This is one of the main lines. So let's go ahead and start with a little overview of what we're gonna learn today. So right here, this is hopefully the familiar territory. e4, c5, knight comes out. So we're going for the open Sicilian. Here we're going to continue d6 as opposed to g6. We're going to see certain correlations right there. So d6, all standard, knight comes out. So here we covered the f3 lines, the bishop e3 lines associated with the Chinese dragon, and move 9 castle. So here bishop c4 and
castle right here. Those are the main lines we've covered in the previous DVDs, along together with Grandmaster Ronan Harsvey. And to give Ronan credit, he helped me out a lot with this particular series. So let's go ahead and do the overview of the lines we're going to examine. So F4 is going to be the first one. Very aggressive looking and a very aggressive line on white's part right here. So we're going to find a remedy against that, which is associated with knight c6 in this situation right here. Then we're going to take a look at moves like knight b3 leading towards classic lines, bishop e2, the major way to get into the classic situations. Then ideas of g3. So let's go ahead and dedicate our focus towards the most principal line in this position. After bishop e3, bishop g7, f3, castle, queen d2, knight c6. We're going to continue g4 as opposed to bishop c4 or castle in this situation. So this was played in the recent game Nakamura-Robson, and that's the game we're going to examine right now. c5, knight f3, we play d6, open Sicilian, bishop comes out to e3. Obviously we don't want to play right here, because then bishop comes right here, all familiar trap, and we're going to be winning this guy right here on g4 or creating some major damage. So bishop comes out to g7, now f3, knight c6, and g4 right here. So once again, we're not going to be covering bishop c4 or castle in this DVD because it's been done already. A very high quality analysis that we did with Ronan, and got those DVDs for you guys, so feel free to check them out. So bishop comes out to e6. This is a surprisingly a more popular choice in this DVD. I'll be reviewing this one, knight d4, bishop d. A very logical choice for black as the best continuation in this position. So we're going to find some ways for black to generate counterplay. Now here black chooses bishop e6, and that's